Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from Soul Sondole. Woo! Man. So what's going on? A lot of things going on in the world. Okay. Let's talk about this because I have a lot of bad things to say, but let's not give any energy to those things. Let's give the energy to the things that are positive. Let's give energy to things that are gonna help us. Let's give energy to things that's gonna help others, right? Because that's going to help the world go in a positive way. If we keep sharing negativity and doing negativity, that just feeds that energy, and we're not getting towards the solutions. So, somewhere it has to stop with you. Like I think, Gandhi says, be the change you want to see. Gandhi is a controversial person, in my opinion. Mandela, you know, Gandhi spent some time in South Africa, and that's part of the controversy with me. But anyhow, um, Mandela believed in peace and reconciliation, and he forgave all the atrocities of the previous regime in order to maintain peace. So he made sure that he became the change that he wanted to see, and he let the violence stop with him. In as regarded to state violence. Now he can't control necessarily the interpersonal, civilian related violence that still plagues South Africa, but he doesn't have any control over that. But regarding state violence, he basically stopped that for the most part, in my opinion, with the peace and reconciliation movement that he had. So anyhow, so let me try some of that right now and not feed negativity and not feed my what is it? My trauma, my PTSD, and all these things. So anyhow, Uh, I was trying to find out basically how to do infusions. Basically when you take plants and you get their properties dissipated into oil or into water or something like that. Now, you can infuse things by just putting the dried leaves inside of oil directly and letting it just sit there. Oh, these people know a different route. And just letting it sit there. And you could also I'm gonna take that way one day and find out which way that goes. So, but you could also use other chemical processes. You can also use heat and oil, or heat and water, just like you make your tea. When you make your tea, you're basically um, I guess you could call it making an infusion or diffusing or whatever. The little thing, the little ball that they sell that you put your tea in and you drop it in the tea. I think they call that a diffuser ball. Anyhow, the diffuser is the process of taking it out. The infusion is the process, I guess, of putting it in something, right? So you're infusing whatever plant into the oil when you're soaking whatever leaf you got in the oil, or boiling it in the oil, or yeah, some people might use some more unhealthy methods like using alkenes, which are like something like almost gasoline. And anyhow, so in the process of doing that research, I was trying to find out how does vacuum affect oils. Now you can separate oils using vacuum. Then I looked at what happens to oils when you compress them. Well, when you compress oils, they're pretty much incompressible. And from my conclusion, do your own research on this because I'm not sure. Um, yeah, when you apply a vacuum to oils, you can destroy them. It depends on how strong those bonds are, but high temperatures can destroy the bonds in oil, um, of course. But compression, from my understanding, doesn't really do much to them. it doesn't really produce any results. Because I was wondering whether, let's say you put some oils in a compression type of state, can you speed up the infusion process by using compressed air? Um, it's inconclusive right now. I'm gonna say that it doesn't do anything, but right now, from what I understand, my limited understanding is inconclusive. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So moving along, eventually I was searching, um, and like yes, I encountered where they talked about heating oils and what happens with that, and I found that I wanted to find out about vegetable oils. So when somehow I encountered some research from PubMed that stated that um, when you reuse cooking oils, and they researched soy and which was it? Was the one? I think it was soybean oil, and I don't remember what the other one was. But when you reuse soybean oil, um, it gets more unhealthy every time you reuse it. So, based on that information, I just made the connection with fast food in that, well, you go to a lot of places and you buy deep fried food, like, um, these fried chicken places or the fried anything, they reuse that oil all day. They don't just use the oil once. They don't fill a vat of oil, use it once, and then um, change it for every order. They use that same oil probably all day, maybe more if they're not, if they're really trying to cut corners, if they're really trying to save money. Um, they will reuse that oil all day, maybe longer. Who knows? Who knows? So that oil being used to fry over and over and over again makes it more toxic to the human body. Um, so that's interesting to know because, in general, we already know that certain fast foods are bad. Certain fried fast foods are bad, because, like fries and all these other things. They're full of salt, full of sodium. They're bioengineered, aka GMO. Um, they're simple carbohydrates, spiking um, your insulin levels, you know, causing you to risk diabetes. Um, and all the complications that deal with sugar, brain fog, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all these other things, right? And they contain preservatives, which are not good for your organs anyway. You know, um, salt is a preservative, sugar is a preservative also. So all these preservatives aren't good for your body. I'm late again. We're all late, and people behind me are honking a horn, and we're like 5 cars away from the stoplight. It doesn't even make sense. Oh, there's people skipping the line. Anyhow, what are you gonna do? The I'm sorry. I just put some water in the car. Now it's making noise like it doesn't have water in it. So that's really all I'm gonna share right now. Stay away from the fried foods. I mean, if you're frying food at home, that's understandable. That's much more healthy than buying fried foods um, from a fast food place. They're refrying. They're using that they're using that hot oil all day long, and the longer it's being used, the more unhealthy it is. Now, for instance, you use the oil once, and then you throw it in the garbage. Some people, I was thinking sometimes to recycle the soybean, not soybean. I'm sorry, the olive oil that we use at home, but Now I'm realizing that's not a good idea. I never actually did it though. I just put it in a jar so it could cool, so I could put it in the garbage so that it doesn't go into the drain because it's not supposed to go into the drain. So anyhow, that was enlightening, and it gives me some more um I don't know. It gives me some more guilt, if not anxiety, when I'm going to buy bad food. To say, you know what? Guess what? Skip the fries. Nah, I don't want the fries. Skip the all the fried stuff. No, I don't want any fried stuff. Let me just get something that's more either grilled, sautéed. Well, yeah, grilled or sautéed or something like that. Like when you're sautéing something or whatever on the pan, you're not reusing the oil over and over again. You know, uh, it's really just a little bit of oil and some water. The next thing, and I got to look into this now, is eating late and laying down. Now, your body has a process, we all know from biology class called peristalsis, where your your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, and all of that peristalsis, it pushes the food through your system. Um, but I think that whole system works better if you're upright, if you're either sitting up or you're either walking or whatever. It's good to take a walk after you eat. Now, unfortunately, in the rat race, in the kind of structure, the lifestyle that we live in the West, in the quote unquote modern time, I mean, probably it's been this way for the thousands of years now, actually, by now. But it's not just modern time, actually. So we eat, you wake up in the morning, I mean, some people have these routines where they don't eat until the middle of the day or something like that. Some people do intermittent fasting every day, but majority of us are going with the following process. We get up in the morning, get dressed, eat breakfast, sit in the car, sit in the bus, whatever the case may be. Um, get to your location, sit down all day in your class or at your job, and have lunch, sit back down again, get back in the car, go home, eat probably, I mean, if you got kids, you got to do your homework and all that, yada, yada. Make your dinner, do the homework, do the projects, make your dinner, and you're eating around 7, 8 o'clock. And then you got to be in bed by 8, 9 o'clock. So that food probably needs about 2 hours. What they do, I think they encourage 3 hours. You should eat 3 hours before bed. But that food is in you're going to bed within the next hour, 2 hours. That's not a full digestion yet. If food hasn't been digested yet. Food didn't even basically barely got to your small intestines. Your stomach is still working on it. And I've been feeling that because I've been eating later and later. And I'm laying down and I feel the food in my stomach and I'm like, hold on, this is uncomfortable. Um, you know, this is not how I should be doing it. But what do you do? What do you do? You make compromises. I was just looking at someone posting something on Instagram about homeschooling, and some people in the comments were like, you know what, my parents home were homeschooled, me and my spouse were homeschooled, and I couldn't imagine being away from my family. Dot 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 dot. Now, Homeschooling is a luxury. Um, most most people don't. Most people can't afford to have a single income household. Most people can't afford to have a single income household, and one person stays home, one parent stays home and trains and teaches the children. And is it fair to have grandparents who are retired or whatever do that work for you? Is it fair for them? They just raised you. Now they have to raise another generation. I don't know. I don't know. We don't really live in multi generational households. Now, I was doing some other research, and people who are Buddhists seem to have no. I'm sorry, that's correct. That Muslims have multi generational households. That means that the grandmother's living there, grandfather's living there, the husband, the wife is living there, the grandkids living there. Maybe some cousins and whatever might be living there too. And I was doing this research basically to find out what religion makes the most money. What religion makes, you know, yeah, what religion makes the most money, you know? Um Now Judaism, people who practice Judaism are some of the highest earners. They're at the top. They don't necessarily have multi-generational households. And this goes into another area now. This goes into another area of discipline. You could call it morality, but yours of morality makes people feel bad. Using the word morality makes people feel bad, so I'm not going to use the word morality. I'm going to say discipline and priorities and scheduling. Discipline, priorities, and scheduling. Let's use those terminologies. Um, so, according to the Pew Research Center, Jewish households average not as many kids, um, but they prioritize getting their career before they reproduce. So, um, and it's I guess it's more, and they have smaller family sizes. They don't have multi generational households. Um, so it's a not saying, well, Muslims were up there. The most poorest, the poorest of religions were like Buddhists and Christians and yeah, atheists were actually up pretty high. Atheists were up there. Like I said, Hindus, but I think it was Jewish people, then atheists, then then what was it? Hindus, and then I think then it was like around Muslims, and then it was Christians, and I don't know what the other religions were. I don't remember right now. I would like to look it up, but guess what? If I close this app, it's not going to show me. It's going to shut the app. So you can look it up. Pew Research Center, Pew Research, religion, and income. And you look at that information. Or you can look at it at religion and religion and family size, right? So, or religion and family arrangement, right? So it's very enlightening. The majority of people who are atheists, well, they didn't call them atheists, they just said none in the statistics, none indicating no religion. The majority of people with no religion that are accounted for in the survey are from China. So I didn't know that there was such a large amount of people in China with no religion, but they make up the majority. So um, their family size, I don't recall how their family size was, but they didn't have a lot of um, multi generational people living in the house, which is surprising to me. But the people with no religion, they're pretty much they're good earners. They make a lot of money. So I guess when we look at it, it's not necessarily the religion that's the driving force. It's the level of discipline. The religion can help you somewhat, but in the case of the people with no religion, what's keeping them in line? Economically, not morally, because we're not talking about moral basis, because moral makes people feel bad, and moral probably doesn't apply because if you don't have a religion, who's the boogeyman keeping you in line? We're listening to some millionaire guy talking, saying somebody told him conscience is knowing that somebody's watching. I found that I didn't like that. I didn't really like that too much because people with a conscience, that's not somebody watching. That's something that extends from internally that was ingrained in them. So anyhow, I'm talking about a variety of topics. I wish I could homeschool, but I don't have the discipline for it. So we hire it out to somebody else. We send us kids to school to be taught by somebody else. Somebody else can do a better job than we can. Somebody else who has the discipline, the fortitude, and the training to do so. And actually, they're teaching 10, 15, 20 kids at the same time. It's terrible. I can barely do homework with one child. They have to teach 15 of them, 20 of them, all at once. That's wow. That's wow. Really, that's wow. You know what I mean? So, what am I saying? I'm saying so many things. Watch out for those fried foods. Stay away from them. Especially from fast food joints. Now, maybe if you go to a gourmet place, like I said, they're not deep frying food at the gourmet. They're not deep frying food at the fine restaurants. I don't think so. But that deep fried oil is being used all day, and it's getting more and more hazardous as the day progresses. You don't know if it's fresh or not, And if you really want to risk it, I guess maybe buy your fried foods in the morning. Maybe when they just pour the oil in the vat in the deep fryer, But I just stay away from it in general. Now, I mean, regarding high income earners and religion, summarizing that, the religion doesn't really have much to do with it because the atheists are right up there with the with people who are Hebrew, people who subscribe to the Old Testament, for the most part. While, so what does that say? It says that discipline is just discipline. It's all about discipline. It's not necessarily your religion. Jewish people delay their the age at when they reproduce, first prioritizing their career and getting themselves in a financial position where they can provide for their family, and they don't necessarily have to live in a multi-generational household where they have to go say, listen, oh man, I just had some kids now and I don't have a career, I don't have any money, whatever. I gotta go live with my parents now. Or my parents don't have any kind of savings or retirement. They gotta come move in with me. You know. So consider yourself fortunate, consider yourself blessed if you don't have to, I guess, have to live in a multi-generational household. I would encourage a multi-generational household for the fact that you get a lot of help and you get a lot of moral support and guidance. Some people don't have a good relationship with their parents and their nuclear family. I can't identify with that necessarily. I can only empathize in theory. So, what am I saying? I'm not really concluding saying anything. It's just some stuff that I heard, some stuff that I read, some stuff that I looked up. Trying to figure out how. Well, it's kind of too late for me. Well, never too late, but I'm up there now. It's time for the information that I'm gathering. It can probably help my son. I can probably use it to help him. He's young, coming up. He can avoid certain mistakes, certain pitfalls, overcome a lot of hurdles if I impart certain information to him that I'm gathering now. It's too late to help me now, but it can help him. Well, that specific information. I need some different information. I need different understanding. But I'm mostly I'm just researching for my own curiosity. I wonder why people suffer. I always wonder why people have to suffer. I see homeless people. I say, why do they have to suffer? I see people who are disabled, people who have whatever multitude of issues, and I wonder, how did that happen to them? And why was I spared? Was I spared, or did somebody put me in position to win? Or is it, God giving me exceptional treatment? I like to think that God's giving me exceptional treatment. That's kind of selfish. That's kind of, yeah, that's part of my delusion. That's part of my delusion. But hey, I'm running late, but I have to be accountable. I would not be surprised if my superiors call me into the office soon enough and say, why, what's going on with you? You're not doing the right thing, whatever, yada, yada. Now, I don't want it to reach that point, but unfortunately, I can't really change that. So we're going to have to come to some kind of compromise, some kind of negotiation, some kind of understanding where I can appease them and I can, like I said the other day, where I can show some humility and the fact that I am concerned about what they're saying and that I understand and all these other stuff, so that I can maintain my income. Because hey, without that, man, listen, I can't do all this podcast and stuff and all this luxury and eat food that I want to eat and like stay warm in my house and drink water and take hot baths and stuff like that. I need my job. Need it. Anyhow, yo, thanks for listening.